Yeah, we're back.
Okay, good morning, everybody.
All things are working for my
Oh my
good.
goodness. Oh, jeepers.
He's intentional. Yeah, C.W. Brown, Daddy, in the spirit.
It must be on auto.
God is intentional. I just want you to know that God is intentional. Last year, about this time, about 3 days, what is it, three
It
days from
says
now, my daddy
almost
passed.
checked because it was the 22nd. We got about another week, but he was very ill.
Yeah, we got about a 20 second.
It's about 9
Um,
days from now. But he was already in ICU by this point.
yeah, he was already in ICU. Um, he was in ICU.
It was back and forth between the nursing
So
home.
this wasn't.
They would stabilize him and then they would send him back to the nursing home.
That he was back and
He was
forth.
back and forth
So
those
he
last
wasn't
9 days.
in the thing. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
um, you know, uh, one thing about it is I lost my job in April
Mm-hmm.
from a 4 year reign. And I kind of knew it was coming, but didn't expect it to come so soon. And to be honest with you, I really wanted it to come, but I wanted to. Every time I try to every time that I get to a point that I make something out of my life, or I'm doing something productive within my life personally, um, even with North Star Productions and things like that, I always wanted to get away from my job because my intention was to travel all over the world and just do my music and perform and touch people's lives and things like that, because I made music to touch people's souls. When I did it, I wanted, back in those days, that was over 10 years ago, I was doing an album called The Janitor's Closet, and that was the era when Jeezy was talking about drugs and trap music. He was hot with the trap music, and I was like, no, we're gonna take it from a janitor's perspective. The rapper that's being overlooked or the janitor that's being overlooked just because his mindset is he's on the bottom of the barrel, that type of thing. So I wanted to take that to the next level so that people can start paying attention to how important the janitor is and how he carries himself outside of the janitorial world. He's a janitor, but he doesn't describe himself as a janitor. He just works as a janitor, but he doesn't live as a janitor. So, which means janitorial work is what he does, but it's not who he is. And that's why I wanted to take the janitor's closet. But, my dream stopped. God had a different plan at that time, and I stopped what I was doing, the version, and I came on, and what I did was I stopped my grind and settled down, got married, wanted to create a family, and stopped everything. So then my marriage had stopped, and I went back on point. And when my marriage had stopped, and I got into the separation mode and got involved with somebody else, and it crushed me after a year's time, then God was like, I'm going to put you on another page. I got you. I see you frustrated. I see you bitter. I see you hurt. I see you angry. I see you talking to the boys and you frustrated at the boys from their mentality. So I got another plan for you. The SSS movement, single, saved, and serious. So I got shirts, planted them, everything, and went out there. Most of y'all who follow me on Facebook know I went out there, started selling T-shirts via social media. Paula Thomas was the first one from Ohio to cop a shirt. Thank you. So then he said. Then I remember Miss Cooley saying, we were at work and we were just talking, and she was like, I'm gonna pray for you before I leave, because she was about to retire. That's Ben Parker's mother. And she prayed for sources and resources. And look at my source.
You know what? No, I'm not the
No,
source.
the resource. I'm sorry, the resource.
Resource.
Yeah, the
That's right.
resource. God is the source. So
God is always the
yeah,
source.
so she prayed over me, and look where I am just because of that prayer. And I would never forget that prayer. And the reason I say that is because last night, um, QB3 was playing,
Mm.
and they were playing music, and they were just playing it, and that song came on. There was a song came on, and it was like, mm, 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 mm. And I was trying to figure it out because this morning I was emotional, and I just wanted to play that song, but I couldn't Google it I couldn't Google it because I couldn't figure out the song.
So,
So, I waited till James went to work, and I was like, what is that song that y'all are playing? What that song y'all were playing? And I described it. And he was like, that's Travis Green. He's intentional. And I slept on the guy because CIAA, Tanya Robbins, me and her were talking, and she was like, he was good to bring to the day party. Like when I was looking for people to bring,
right.
yeah, she was like, bring Travis Green. Like look for Travis Green. For the type of parties that y'all throw, Travis Green would be good. I reached out to him. I think he's from South Carolina. If I'm not mistaken, he's from South Carolina. But me and Judy, I was like, yeah. When he told me who it was, I started shouting. And Judy was like, you need to calm down, Craig. Just calm down. You're loud. I don't think you realize how loud you were. But
But I say that then, I still say that. But go
yeah,
ahead.
but I'm just saying at that time. But um, you know, when you hear the lyrics of it, I got the words, I got the lyrics wrong at first. I thought it was something else, but then I started listening, and it was like all things are working through my good.
Every,
Everything is working through my good. If you only knew what I go through right now, emotionally, mentally, and everything. And people look at me because Facebook is a form of therapy, and you know, a lot of people hide behind these social media sites, which is fine. I don't stress it no more because I can only be me and what God wants me to be. But when I look at what I go through right now, and I talked to Judy about it, I say, God has something for me. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for God. Not too many people are going outside of the church walls and playing nothing but the gospel. And I thought about it. I got a legend coming. Regardless of who shows up or whatever, I got a legend. My family coming for me. They help me out. I got my family coming for me
it's all right.
to play that but godly music. If you know how deep that is, if you know how deep that is, the things that God has allowed me to do for Him,
Don't cry.
after all somebody put me through, God has still provided a way for me to shout His name. I ain't got to know every story in the Bible. I know Him. And I'm doing everything in my will to wait on Him. And if you think I'm lying, I'm dying. She's right here to witness you. I ain't got to step my foot. I don't want to step my foot on another job again in my life. If I have to, I have to. But I know what I can do for Him. And ain't nobody doing what I'm doing for Him and with Him. It might be wrong saying for Him, but with Him and for Him, earthly. Yeah. This thing is crazy, people. People are dying. They was just telling me, Judy was telling me that, because I don't pay attention unless it's on Facebook. I don't watch the news or anything like that. Only information I get is off Facebook. Anybody will tell you. I don't know nothing. I was wanting to hear about more of the Usher situation, but I saw how the people in Charlottesville was people in Charlottesville were sitting there burning each other and fighting. I ain't see no black people. I ain't see no black people out there fighting over, white supremacy or whatever. But then I heard and I saw the video footage, and they were happy that they were getting burned and feeling that they were fighting for their rights amongst other white people, and just screaming and hollering. But then I see in Chicago, Pastor Bishop Amir was talking about it in Chicago, and I shared it on my page. 22 people got killed in Chicago over the weekend.
Got shot.
And what's happening is people are paying more attention to people who are just screaming and yelling white supremacy over the weekend, and screaming over white supremacy, but our people are getting killed. Period. And we sitting there just screaming and hollering, and nobody is saying nothing. And you don't think, and I say that to say this, you don't think that God has used me in order for y'all to pay attention to what God is saying to you? See, we can sit there, we go to clubs, we go to clubs, we sit there and we sit there and we work all weekend, and I'm in corporate America or whatever job you in. You got this, you got that, you got all types of cars, you got all types of big houses, you got describing you're independent. Where all my independent women at? Where all my independent ladies at? Who gives a damn? I'm sorry to be cussing, but if you really give a damn, if somebody has to boost your ego to say how independent you are, you're never independent. God is your dependence. God. And when people don't tell you that and make you feel that they gotta heat up your self-esteem in order to tell you that you're independent, you're not independent without God. You can't, there's no way that you can live on this earth and prosper on this earth and not have God within your life. No way. You'll be the most miserable person on earth if you don't have some type of God within your heart. They need to hear it too from what we saw the other night. I'm in a zone, baby. What's happening is that the more that we take our eyes off God, and most people, the Israelites and all of that, he talks about that in the Bible, and I'm not attacking anybody. This is the point that, I had a debate with people the other day via Facebook about, they ain't no Jesus, blah, 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 and, the Europeans, the same old logic, right? But the Bible already talked about that. Y'all read all these stories in the Bible and you question it. But God already said, Jesus already said that people will question, what is it in Philippians? Second Philippians or something, where people will question his name, people will question who he is, and you'll run away from God by being thieves, murderers, and you don't know what I'm talking about.
I think you got a couple of scriptures combined, but there is a scripture where Paul writes, that we will not listen to sound doctrine, that we will turn away, every man will turn away to his own lusts and his own desires. We won't seek God. And so, we live in that generation now where people aren't seeking God. They're seeking whatever feels good. They're seeking whatever it is that pops into their head and their minds. And, they're chasing after those things. And they're not trying to submit to God. They're not trying to say, hey, you know what, God, I'm bringing all my plans. God never said that you shouldn't make plans. But we're supposed to commit them unto the Lord. We're supposed to seek ye first the kingdom and then everything else is added. So it isn't like we're supposed to, it's not an either or, people. What it is that you bring your plans, your gifts, your talents to God, and He'll show you how to use them. And we first glorify Him before we ever glorify ourselves. Sorry for my deep voice this morning. We just woke up. We had a long weekend. But, when I hear the word He's intentional, I realize that God's plan for my life is not my plan. It may not include the things that I thought I was going to have. I never thought, as a child, you grow up, you have certain ideas and intentions on doing things. But I never thought I would be on the road that I'm on. But the goal is that when I came to a knowledge of God, that whatever He brought into my life, whatever He allowed me to go through, He gets the glory out of it. And He gets the glory out of everything. Basically, knowing that He's intentional, knowing that He has a plan for my life, I don't have to question so much the things that happen. I don't have to be like, well, why does this happen? Why does this happen? I know He has a reason for it. And I may not understand the reason. Some things I may never understand until I'm standing before God. Other things I may understand, they used to say, in the sweet by and by. That means, in time, things will make sense. But I don't have to question everything. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to be like, well, why? What? I don't have to be concerned, confused, nervous, anxious about anything. It doesn't mean I don't make my plans. I still make my plans. I still go about the things that I want to do. But if it should turn right instead of left, I ain't got to be all out of joint because it didn't go left. You know what I'm saying? If it goes a different direction, And it took me years to get to that point. Because sometimes we have in our minds what life is going to be, and then it turns out to be something else. It really does. But we know that God, in the end, it's about getting the glory. People look at that story of Job and they're like, oh, Job had all of this faith and he never lost his faith. Yeah, but he lost pretty much everything else. Okay, he just pretty much lost everything. Children, his livelihood, his health, the respect and love of his wife. He went through something. And I want everybody to remark that even though she told him, look, life is, why don't you just curse God and die? That's pretty much the worst thing you could ever say to a man when he's down. Why don't you just, curse God and get up out of here? Because I don't know what to do with you. He didn't even turn on her. All he said to her is, you speak like a foolish person. Don't do that.
Calm.
Don't do that. You speak like a foolish person. And should we not receive everything? How much wisdom in the midst of in pain and no children and no livelihood can you sit there and still see God? And he glorified God more in when he didn't have everything than when he did. When he had everything, Satan questioned his loyalty. Didn't he? He went up to heaven and questioned his loyalty. He was like, look at this. You gave him everything. Of course he's going to praise you. Let's see what happens when he doesn't have everything. When things don't go his way. When you snatch up all them 10 children that he had. When he loses the respect of his wife. When his friends come and make fun of him. And tell him he got to be guilty because that's the only reason that things would happen to you is because you're guilty. And God says, okay. You can't take his life, but okay. And Job ends up being more of a praiser in the midst of having absolutely nothing. And, it doesn't mean that he doesn't say, hey, you know what, I don't understand. It doesn't mean he's like, God, I wish I knew what you were thinking. But in that, the Bible says he never sinned. He never sinned. He knew God had an intention for something. He may not understand it, but he knew he had an intention. And that's where we've got to become. We got to know whether good or bad. That's why in your vows it says for better or for worse. There's an intention. There's a purpose. There's a reason. And in the end, because the man did not sin, because the man did not curse God and die, because he was still able to see, look, though you slay me, yet will I praise you. God restores. I don't like the word rewards. He restores him double. Double. Okay, so we have to understand that there's an intention even when we don't understand it. We have to understand and trust him. And that's what the song says. Everything is all things are working for my good. Even the stuff that doesn't look like it's very good. Even the stuff that's hard. Even the stuff that's difficult. Even the stuff that's distressing. You know? Even the death of parents. I went through that.
And then imagine the boys, you know, the QB3. I gotta be forced to say QB3, Jesus, but
It's cute. What, you rather say wisdom?
no, the Curls brothers.
He'd rather say the Curls brothers.
But you know, they lost their parents, and
Yeah.
you know, their mama used to manage them. So you can only imagine where they are now, and
Wow.
the manager that they have now, the mother never really got to meet the person that's in James's life right now. And I bet you she'd probably be the happiest person in the world, because I've seen him and I know how much he's matured, and I'm so proud of him to see where he is and where he's trying to go right now, because his parents. And that's what I'm saying for me. You know, the way my parents did, they weren't the most spiritual. They were in the education and all of that. They were spiritual, but they were more into education. And, you know, the way that I am now, where I come from, and to see where I am now, I was just thinking, like, with their parents and my daddy would have been the happiest people, and just smiling at what we're doing in the world right now, or where we're going within the world right now. I remember when I went to Elevation, and I got baptized at Elevation, because I just wanted to clean my whole life up. I thought I was going through the stuff that I was going through in relationships, and you know, I was just hurt and bitter, and I decided to get baptized. I went to Christian school, but I never got baptized, and I got baptized at Elevation and went in the water, and my cousins came, my mama and daddy came, and I just saw them over there, and he just wanted to say, son, I'm proud of you, you know, for just giving your life to God, and, you know, trying to do the best that you can within God. And I think, you know, like the accomplishments that I had, he was always happy for me. He wasn't the type to always question. He just wanted me to learn things on my own, but he was always proud when I made a different step. And y'all will hear about it very soon. I'm working on it right now, but, you know, just seeing where we are now and what we're doing for God right now in the midst. You know, I was at the concert the other day and I ran into somebody, right? And, you know, I gave him a flyer. Now, this person posts about God. I hear this female post all day about God, 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 God. But then next thing you know, like I handed her a flyer. This ain't that gospel stuff you be doing, do it, because, you know, I don't do that. And I'm like, you know, how you going to sit there and talk and post about God, but we had a secular event, you know, Funk Fest. And another thing, I'm just brainstorming right now, but you know, you at Funk Fest and you act like you don't know God when you at the secular event, but then you post on social media, God, 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 and I see you every day posting about God every day. So, you know, that kind of brought me into it. It's good and it's popular to say God temporarily, but it ain't good and popular to say God forever, or say God in the midst of everything. And, you know, I thought about it the other day, like how people were so disappointed in Funk Fest, and people were just complaining about Bobby Brown and Erykah Badu. I think Erykah Badu, you were saying I think Erica Badu was talking mess about God or something like that.
I didn't. I don't know if I
I
heard that
heard
part.
it. I
You
heard,
heard it.
yeah, I heard her
I heard all the
say some stuff.
cussing. I heard the negativity. She was very cynical. I didn't realize
So,
that she was that cynical and that kind of just negative angst of the person. I mean, I know she sang. I love her tone and her voice. And there's nobody that can touch her with that. But it comes with such like emptiness.
yeah, so,
It comes with such emptiness. There's no warmth and no, you know, it's like a tinkling cymbal. It's like there's no love in that woman.
so when I saw that, some people describe love differently.
I mean,
They say
you
they
know,
love, but their spirit ain't right.
okay, I just couldn't catch her spirit.
Yeah, you
I
couldn't
was
catch her
just like,
spirit.
wow. I've never seen you in public. I've, you know, occasionally an award show or something, and I just wanted to see her, but everything coming off of her was such emptiness,
So,
such banality. If anybody knows, you know what that means. Just, you know, it was like a meh. So even though she could sound beautiful, there was no spirit. There was no warmth. There was nothing but, you know, she's sticking up middle fingers and cussing, and I was like, wow, baby.
but,
What has happened to you?
well, you
You
got to,
know, I mean, you're just not that sparrow that's singing. The joy has departed. So, I mean, I got up and left. I was like, that's okay. She sounds beautiful, but it's like, I don't feel joy.
so I say that to say this.
And can I say something to that person who talks about God all day, but then when they're out in a secular environment, they like, I don't do that gospel thing. You know, a lot of people are searching for God. You gotta understand that. People are searching for God, and they might know of a God from their grandmother or their mother, you know, so they know of a God, but they don't have that deep, abiding relationship.
Hmm.
And so God is something they do on Sunday for 2 hours. That's it. And then they go back to, okay, let's put God back in that box, and then I'm going back to my life, you know. So that's how you can catch a person who has a relationship with God and a person who just goes to church. Even if they're on their God this, God that, God that, obviously they're still searching. Obviously they're still searching. Because I can go, let me tell you something. I can go to any church. I can go to any event. And when we come across a godly person, what happens, Craig? Man, it's like meeting another member of the family, isn't it? It's like we sit down, we start talking, blah, 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 blah. They could be white, black, they could be Indian, they could be Chinese. It don't matter. Because when you're family, you're family. But when you're sitting there and you've got people who only look at things from the outside, they're not in the family, then you realize, okay, hey, you're visiting. You know what I'm saying? You're a visitor. You're not a member of the family yet. And there's nothing wrong with that. I would never turn down visitors to come. But anybody who could see what you're doing for Christ and be like, I'm not into that. You know, my question, I beg the question, well, what are you into about God? What about God are you into? And to you to be able to see whether that person is totally committed. You know, there are a lot of people searching. And that's why we do our events. There are a lot of people searching. And some of them won't go into a church. They might go into a bar. They may come into the restaurant. That lady I met in the back, Lisa, she told me, she said, Miss Judy, I don't get out very often. My mother's elderly. I have to take care of her. So that's really my life, is taking care of my mother. She said, but I love this sound. I love this music. They're awesome. I can't believe they're playing here. She just kept going on and on. I just love it. Please tell them that I'm going to look them up. I'm going to follow them. And I can just imagine her in her home. You know what I'm saying? Can't get out because mama's sick. But she's listening. She's listening. Do you know how important that is? Do you know how deep that is? And that's what you do. That's what you do. And yes, the day is going to come when we do it in droves. But I'm happy for these days where we get to hear the individual stories of how what you're doing is touching and changing the lives of people. I never forget that other lady who walked 2 blocks because she was hearing Cuz Love perform.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? These stories. When we get the other one, and I haven't heard from her again, but the other one that was like, you know what? We adopted this child. She's biracial. We don't have a lot of friends out here. It's very difficult out here for my child. I wonder if she would be interested in a group like what you guys got going on. These are the stories of the people's lives that we touch because we do what we do in the community. We don't sit in a church. We go out where people can see us. And people begin to think about who? Do they think about their big car? They think about their house? They think about their job? They think about God. So just as much as God is an intentional God, we got to be intentional people. We have an intention. We're out here to bring the gospel of Jesus Christ to the people in the community. And God is going to see us doing what we do. He's already rewarding us in a lot of ways. You know, we need one more way for us to reward him, but for him to reward us, but he has already rewarded us in the lives that we've touched.
Yeah, spiritually.
Spiritually. So we just got to keep on the road, even though sometimes it's going to get difficult. We got to keep on the road and not give up. We got to tell other people, don't give up, because God sees you. And all things are working. Everything works together.
All things are working for my good.
You know he can't sing.
He's intentional. We
love you, but God loves you more.